Good evening, everybody. Welcome. This is FMA Discussion, and we are episode 159. And tonight we have the pleasure of having guests, Guro Mahipal Lunia. Thank you, sir, for coming on.
Oh, my pleasure, Dean. My pleasure.
Yeah. So those of you, they obviously been seeing you in FMA Discussion via Zoom and all that. Matter of fact, we got an episode 4 coming. I'm thinking, right, soon.
Yeah, episode 5, I think, right? That'll be 5. I think we've done 4. 5 should be coming out soon.
Yeah. So we'll have to plan that and get that in order and get that going. So that's but yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. So and Dwight's feeling better, so we should be able to get that moving.
Yeah, and hopefully Mark has his technology controlled.
Can we do Zoom, please? I can't handle being live. All right, folks, if you're watching, please tell us where you're watching from, and smash that like button. And Wada, Thailand, Mark Stewart, and we got Richard. All right. Okay, so let's go. We got a bunch of stuff we're going to cover tonight, folks, so we're going to just jump right into it. So, just quickly on your FMA background, like maybe your first experience, and secondly, who's been kind of most influential on you thus far?
So, let me talk about Southeast Asian arts in general,
Sure.
Right? The reason being, I haven't studied traditional FMA per se, the way we think about it. So I had a long background in Japanese arts and Indian martial arts, and at that time, started looking at a lot of stuff around FMA, looking for things that were familiar, especially with the way the blade was operated within the Filipino context, and then the blades just look sexy. I was like, I want to play with this. So that's the truth of how I got started. So I've had quite a few teachers, and it'll be wrong for me not to pay my respects to them. And in no particular order, of importance, they've all been influential. They've all been rich. They've all given me different gifts that have kind of helped me get a better perspective for my own personal expression, for the lack of a better term, right? So I would say it's Guru Ron Saturno, Guru J.C. Caballero, James Keating, Mark Mikita, Ata Mushtaq Ali Al-Ansari, Guru Romeo Macapagal, though not a direct teacher, has been extremely influential in me understanding things within the FMA world, and then a whole bunch of people who are friends and brothers, though they were not specifically my teachers in the formal sense. We clashed blades, we clashed sticks. And we learned from each other, guys like Chris Nally and a dozen others. Oh, he's joined us, yeah. So guys like him, So to me, whoever's in front of me, when they do things with me, in so many ways, they are teaching me. So I see them all as my teachers. And then, of course, through my expeditions, I've worked with a whole bunch of different people. And they have taught me, and I honor that as well. But at the same time, when we think about teacher, I think maybe it's my Indian heritage. It's a very deep and a very sacred bond. And the ones I named are perhaps the most influential in shaping me, especially with the Southeast Asian. Now, in the Southeast Asian, there are 2 crossovers, especially when you start going to Mindanao and you start going down further to Indonesia, right? So Ata Mushtaq Ali Al-Ansari, he is one of the few who's actually studied Moro arts through a weird history, and then working with the Kampilan and the Panabas with him has been rich, and there's a crossover into Silat right away. And then, of course, guys like Guru Stephen Plink, if you haven't touched hands with him, you have no idea what it is. But these are the guys that have knocked some sense into me, if you will.
No, that's an extensive list. I mean, some big names on there and all that. I mean, you know, we're hoping to get James Keating on here. I think it's going to be July. He's one of his students that he's going to use for demos is currently on vacation and all that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, other big names.
He's a true gem, and he's one of those few who can take a very complex subject and give it to you in digestible bites and actually open your minds up in beautiful ways. So I look forward to that particular discussion.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Yeah, believe me, I'm going to stay on that white on rice. So until a door gets completely slammed in my face.
No, if he said hi, he's going to do it. You know. So
yeah.
I'm going to talk to him on Friday, so I'll bug him.
Okay, good. Yeah, matter of fact, we just emailed, and he said when the guy gets back, we can plan July. So yeah, so I'm really hoping. I mean, yeah.
The thing about Keating is, if he says yes, he will do it, and if he says no, then God alone can make him move. So
yeah. That's that. Then the door's definitely closed.
That door's open. So don't worry about it.
We got a bunch of people already saying hello. Guro Mahipal. We got Mark Stewart, as you know that guy, right? Mark Stewart, you know that crazy fella. We got Richard. We got Chris, who we just talked about. Eric O'Brien, Rick, Brian, and Julius. Stephen Barnes. Julius is saying, touched hands with one of his top students, and all right. Okay, yes, if you're watching, please hit that like button. Tell us where you're watching from. So. All right, let's get into the backyard. So we got a lot of questions, folks, regarding backyard training versus group.
Yeah.
And the majority of your training, if I'm not mistaken, has been more that backyard atmosphere. Very few students, generally speaking, maybe one-on-one, 1, 2, 3, but nothing in like a group format per se. So what can you tell us as far as the difference in your opinion versus the backyard versus kind of the group?
Wow. So to be fair, my early training was in groups, you know, when I did Enshin karate and a few other things, that was groups, you know, all of us as kids, you know, I was in the kids class, so that was a group class. But my serious training has been almost all backyard, right? So the differences are, I think, to simply put it into, in as few words as possible, I think group training works when you have a very structured program and you're trying to say, okay, this is the process, these are the 21 steps, let me replicate it and essentially create Xerox copies of replications.
Robots.
Maybe, but it's I see it much more like you're beginning to learn skills. You're beginning to learn things. Everyone has to learn the same skills. Otherwise, nobody will be able to read music, right? So you would begin to learn it in somewhat a structured fashion. Once you've learned the structured fashion, then depending on what's calling you, you either go into compositions or you go into playing jazz. When you're playing jazz, you start playing jazz with a few people, right? There might be others watching, but you're really playing jazz with a few people, right? So it's basically that's what's calling you. And so the structured program is one thing, and then when I see backyard training, to me, it's the way I think about it. And again, it's just my opinion. It's much more instinctive response, right? It's not. Yes, you have theory, but theory comes later. But it's about, hey, here's the truth of it. Here's the truth of it, and you have to be able to humble yourself and be able to be just blown out of your mind, right? So, and I think, especially when some of us who've spent a few years in the arts, I've spent a few years doing things, and then, you have your own school or you're teaching a little place, and then you need somebody who just blows you out of the water in a particular part, a particular expression. So if you're one of those whose ego will get in the way, don't go do backyard training. If you're able to put that aside and then go, then you essentially have backyard training. So what is backyard training? At the heart of backyard training is tribal and clan arts. It is a tight-knit group These are brothers in blood. You eat, you drink together, and if shit goes down, they don't say, "Hey, what did you do?" They pull the blade out and then say, "I got your back, brother. We'll figure it out when this is done." Right? So it's hard to explain, but that's kind of it. So, and the other thing I would say is schools focus a lot on safety, right? As they have to, as they should. Okay, you have to. Safety is very important. No soccer mom's going to come and drop off a son in a backyard and say, "Beat my son." Well, some of them will.
See you in a couple hours.
But then you have others. But then you come to you're coming to these backyard groups. These are for your moments of truth. You've learned all this. You have these ideas. I'll do this jump spinning back kick. I'll do, Sinawali 37 and 23 together, whatever, right? And then suddenly, before your first move begins, you shut out of business.
Yeah.
Right. So I think this may offend some people, but I'm still going to say it. So you have structured programs; they are important, but many a times, not all, many a times it ends up being cosplay.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
I'm not saying all of them.
Yeah, not right. No, but yeah, not all of them. I got you. Yeah.
And then you come into the backyard. There's no costumes. There's blood, sweat, and tears, literally.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. But hey, one man's opinion,
So, do you think? For the individual, I would say personality plays a role in that, right? Individual person, some might like the fact that it's a large group and maybe they're going to meet new people, and maybe they just like that setting that it brings out. Whereas, maybe the backyard, like, hey, I'm not coming here really to meet new people. I want the best stuff I can receive, and for the smallest groups, I'm getting really individual attention and all that. So, big personality.
Yeah, and some people want to have a workout, learn some basic self-defense, meet some cool people, hang out, go have some beers afterwards. Cool.
Yeah, right.
You have, fitness groups, your studios. It's great, right? And then some people are a little more insane, and they're like, "Hey, what can I do with this?" Usually, an interesting question to ask is, what is driving you? Is it a particular fear, or is it glory, or is it something else that's driving you to go to those levels of insanity that you'd go and seek out some of these people and then work with them? So I'm not going to take any names, but think about this. When I first went to Stockton, I was an outsider. It took me about 7-8 months to convince my teacher to become my teacher. I would drive 120 miles each way, and then he would say, "Okay, let's go get some tacos." I'm like, dude, I didn't drive 120 miles to get tacos. I went to meet Keating. Well, I'll take his name. I went to meet Uncle Jim, and he shows up in black clothes. He has a revolver hanging, glasses, smoking a joint, and so, want to see what's real, huh? I'm like, oh shit. You have to be in his presence to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but hey, I just got a phone call. I gotta go. Yeah.
But again, I understand that was a 16-hour drive from my home. It's the middle of nowhere. So I think how do I say this? If you're looking for an ordinary experience, not ordinary, if you're looking for, you have to be weird in some ways or different in some ways to seek the backyard training. That's not for everyone. It's not special, and by no means am I saying this is superior or that is superior.
Oh, no,
it's different strokes for different folks,
Sure, sure, sure.
Some people like the groups, and some people are like, I don't care about the groups. I don't want to have a buddy relationship with 4 people. I just want to know whether what I'm doing is truthful. And in that moment of danger when I could be cut or nicked, in those moments, there's pure silence, there's pure meditation, what the Japanese would call Bushin.
Yeah, I agree. I think there was, of all my FMA training, I think there was only one system that was part of a group class, and it was the very beginning. But since then, it's been privately based. I'm either flying out to see the person, or I'm bringing them in for a seminar, and they're staying a few days after to kind of get individual training. But that's what I prefer, because I know what I want, and I just like, and I know I'm going to get that while not having to compete with 9 other people that, maybe want different stuff, or the teacher feels compelled to give the broad horizon because he has to, because he's got 9 other people in the room,
Yeah. The other thing I would say is don't go for the tribal piece and backyard if you don't have a very, very high tolerance for pain and a very high tolerance for ambiguity. Just to give you an example, there was one night, it was my buddy Chris, Nally, me, a few other guys, and then there was 3-4 masters who had come together. There was Rod Saturno, there was Art Gonzalez, there was Virgil, and a few others. And we were working in the middle of the night. It's freaking ice cold in Stockton in December, and we are working out. And now understand, we had eaten a lot and drunk a little more, okay? And blades came out, and it's like, okay, you want to see truth? These are the patterns, bang, bang, bang. And I know Chris took a few dings, but he didn't show pain. I know I took a few dings, and we just stood there, and these guys are just testing out, can these guys take it? Actually, Chris is here. He'll vouch for what I just said.
You just mentioned truth.
Yeah. So you have to be willing to do and take that. And there's a certain amount of madness, we've been in Stockton, it's the middle of the afternoon, it's 110 degrees, and you're on the pavements, and suddenly you have 7-8 Eskimo get together, and they're like, oh yeah, your system works, let's go at it, let's see. Right? And then there's no bullshit there. You better, you can't say, here's the theory of it, this is my concept.
I think it's a weeding out process too. Like there's one guy training with, I just don't want to mention his name because I didn't ask permission, just out of respect. But I think, and he kind of alluded, it's a kind of a weeding out process. Like, like if you continue, then I know you're vested. I know you really want this and all that. And I think, there's something to be said for that. So he's not wasting his time, or they're not wasting their time. That you stick around for 6 months and you take off, you know what I mean? So, wow. What about women in the backyard? Through any of your experiences or your backyard experiences, have you seen female students?
A few. Well, one of your guests is a female, Maya Soderholm, right? And I've worked with her backyard where she was more my teacher than anything else. I've seen her. And I've seen there are a few women I've seen that I wouldn't want to get into a knife fight with. But
down for the cause, huh?
Yeah. As a rule, they are far and few in between, at least the ones that I've been exposed to, So, yeah.
Okay. And so it's not, so it's, I guess would it be fair to cliche it's a man's world? I mean, there's a few, right? Few exceptions.
Yes, but at the same time, okay, just because you don't see them doesn't mean they're not there, right? So, for example, oh God, how do I tell you this? Okay, so in Mindanao, the men would begin the fight, right? They would go, so this is all what I've learned from Mushtaq Ali Al-Ansari, who done directly the martial arts, and yet guys like Stardallah and others come to check him out, whatnot, because who's this guy? Who's done this, right? And if you understand checking out, you understand checking out. Okay, so because this is all Moro, this is all backyard. So the guys would go do the first piece, but then the women would come with their spears and the panabases and do the finish. Okay, one of my other instructors, Guro Mahipal Lunia, he was training with. He would go train with one of his most influential instructors. At one time, one day he was sick, and then so the instructor asked his wife to go teach him, and Guro Mahipal was like, "What?" And then he was surprised what he could do. So what I'm trying to say is, I didn't ask them if I could talk about them, but I think it's important to understand that I think just because you don't see them out in the front doesn't mean they are not that they're not skilled and trained.
Okay.
That's my thing. Look at Maya; she's freaking amazing. So.
Yeah, obviously put her dues. She's incredible. Yeah, absolutely on far as she goes. What happens to the brain during backyard versus studio? This is a question I think you received actually. What happens to the brain during backyard versus studio training?
Oh boy, we can go really deep in this if you want, but let me just try to simplify it. All right. So one way to think about studios is think of the OODA loop. You observe, you orient, and you decide on these pre-patterned things are thought, and then you act. So you're going from the cerebral to the old brain, which is your reptilian brain. So you're going from what is called your executive function to your reptilian brain. But in that, for the connections to be formed, you're going to lose a couple of milliseconds or a beat or two beats.
Okay.
Until that connection is fully formed. Now, backyard training, again, we're talking generalities, right? So keep that in mind. You're always going to have exceptions anytime we speak this. But when you're doing backyard training, you are training for what is called instinctive response. It's not the packaging and putting in of a style, but it is drawing out what is there and giving it shape. So in many ways, you're training the old brain to respond in what would be the natural response or the only way you can do certain things. So in the school and studio system, what you're going to do is in order to make a concept come alive or to demonstrate a principle, you will create hundreds of techniques and then say, yep, and here you keep them going. Then in the backyard, what happens is, especially if you're sparring, right? Only so many things you can do.
Yeah, only things are coming out. Okay.
So even in how the kind of brain you access changes completely. So one way to think about it is when you're doing studio learning, it's very heavy intellectually executive brain function focused, and you're trying to take these ideas and put it into your back brain so that it becomes instinctive. Whereas with the old arts or the old ways of doing things, it's the instinctive brain that's doing things, and then your brain catches up later.
Okay.
So the one way to think about it is from concept to try and bring it into your body, or train your body, or train the concept and try to bring it into your body, or train and unleash the body and catch up and explain with an idea or concept later. So the direction is completely different.
Okay.
I don't know if that makes sense. That's
no. It did to me. It's right as far as the instinct. It's going to generate instinct and all that. As far as the loop and all that in the group format, generally speaking. And again, you said generally speaking. There's going to be exceptions.
Yeah, the brain fires completely differently, and I've seen this on MRI scans. It fires completely differently. Okay, like the guys. For example, the guys who truly get to that instinctive level where the old brain is firing, their brain goes into alpha and delta brainwaves. And the more dangerous they are, it goes into theta. It's almost like, it's called the 1,000-mile ghost stare. And if you tap into that, time slows down. And you can capture that. You can actually capture that on through brainwaves. And many ways, if you've watched this enough, you'll also be able to see what is called the 1,000-mile stare, the crisscrossing of eyes, the shoulders dropping. Usually, they start walking counterclockwise around that which they're going to kill. Never clockwise, counterclockwise. So there are patterns that will emerge because the brains all function in a very animalistic way. And when we start to understand that, you can go about it two ways. Either you can track it or you emulate it. Because if you start moving in certain ways, you activate certain parts of your brain. Like you and I had talked about a particular knife fighting system, and you had asked me my opinion on it, and I said, yes, it's good. The movement metaphor is good. Go for it, but also be aware what part of your brain you're looking to activate and for how long, because you cannot train to be a killer and then be a Mr. Nice Guy at the same time. Well, you could. You'd be schizophrenic, but you would have to deal with that.
Yeah, you'll be schizophrenic. That's good. When you reference alpha state there, I mean, and what you were talking about there, the stare and all that. But also that's got to help with the calmness and the nerves, achieving like that calm, where now you're just not. You're stressed out. You're twitchy. You're jumpy. I mean, I'm correct in that.
Yeah. Right? So you have. See, anytime there's a stressor, an adrenal stressor that comes to you, one of three things happen. You either fight it, or you flight, or you freeze. If you freeze, you're dead.
Yeah. You're not doing anything.
Yeah, you're dead.
Yeah.
If you have flight, you better be a really good runner.
Yeah.
And really good at hiding. That's a valid strategy.
Yeah.
But if you're going to fight, then what is the state of mind you want to be in? Do you just want to be a madman that, you see so many videos where they're just swinging blades with no idea of what can or cannot happen, or to kind of look at the old samurai. They would get into a state called Fudoshin, which is this warrior mind, a steadfast mind, where everything is equal. Being alive and being dead is equal, because in their mind they're already dead.
Interesting.
And look at some of the FMA guys. Look at the legends. Look at Tatang. Look at
I was just going to think of that. Yeah.
They just go calm.
Yeah,
and that ability to go calm and then also have that razor focus while not caring whether you're living or dead, that makes the difference, I think.
Yeah, that's an incredible achievement, man. I mean, but in the thing to achieve that, like we kind of talked about in the group interview we did with yourself, Mark, and Dwight, where now it's kind of recreational and all that, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think any of us can achieve. I mean, maybe depending on where you live, of course. But when I think about Western civilization, United States, who's going to achieve alpha, that state that we're referencing?
I think it can. I mean, alpha state can be done even without martial arts, right? But I think the state we're talking about is the Japanese have good language for it, so I'm going to use that, right? It's this whole idea of Fudoshin and Mushin. I think the old Koryu arts, the old arts, have gotten it, and they've still maintained that reality of a live blade, right? So, for example, you want to experience that? You know what? We've talked about this before. Drop your training blades, pull real live blades, and then start training. Suddenly, your distance will greatly increase.
Yeah, it's funny how
and suddenly the chances you take will reduce.
No, I know. Yeah, I know. It's like, gosh, yeah. As a matter of fact, it won't be like hand range. It'll be like no range.
Yeah. But that is the point, right? So if you want to achieve those elusive states, then you have to have elusive training. People who can build that that you can actually get into it. And if you're afraid of pain and if you're afraid of getting hurt, guess what?
It's not for you.
It's not for you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, right. Exactly. Wow. Yeah, like how, I mean, not to encourage anybody to do this, but if somebody want to do that and made a conscious choice to do that, they would have to get obviously a very like-minded individual. I mean, I guess what I'm asking is there a kind of a mutuality of understanding and agreement? Hey, like, we're going to try this, but let's not access center. I mean, is it maybe arm? I'm just thinking about
the more constraints you put in, the less real it gets, right?
Oh, yeah, that's true, right? If you can't access center, I mean, right? No.
So that's number one. Number two, it's already been done in a few cases. Like, look at the Dog Brothers, right? They bought a sense of reality and testing out of certain things. But at the same time, you have a helmet. But what's one of the first targets in FMA? It's the eyes.
Yeah.
Right? And it's whipping that fast. So it changes. I'm not saying that is bad, but I'm just saying everything that you build in will have its own inbuilt constraints and will create its own disadvantages. Right? So I think my opinion, if you really want to do it, don't just find like-minded people, but also find mentors who've done this before.
Yeah,
so
definitely there's somebody there.
Mistakes that can be avoided.
Yeah, definitely on a mentor, man. Yeah. Who's been there, done, can coach you through it.
Yeah, because that's where that relationship and that bond is critical. The closer you start wanting to get to those elusive states and those elusive truths, that path becomes quite lonely.
Yeah. So, wow, that's great stuff, man. This is a question from Chris. You kind of touched on it a little, but how has your background in psychology and neuroscience improved your training?
Oh boy. Well, I could talk for days on it, but let me just bring it down to this, right? So first thing is there are processes in which you can shut down your mind, because in most cases your conscious mind is the greatest inhibitor to performance, right? Second, and this is something that even my buddy Chris does, when we show up to learn, we leave what we have learned from everywhere else outside the door. We are there to learn. We are not there to show, oh, I know this, I know that.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Right? So that also was a process that I had to learn and then do it. And then third, I would say, there's a very specific process called modeling. And within neurosciences, when you're looking at somebody and modeling them, you basically figure out, okay, what is their physiology and neurology doing? Why are they moving in certain ways? Second, you model the beliefs, and beliefs is always encoded in language. So you start figuring out, why do they say these things over and over again, right? What is the purpose of that? Why is, for example, certain guys start reading ilams? Ilams are prayers, or you're doing oración. What is that? What is that prayer, that reading, or their in the West you would call it anchoring, where you have your excellence rituals that you go into it, where you essentially go there and say, okay, this is how I access that high state. So that's what language does. So you model the neurology, you model the beliefs, you model the language, and then you model the syntax as to what is the sequence that they go into the state. Is it language driven that they get there? Is it bodily driven that they get there? Because if you can't do that, you won't be able to enter into their world in order to replicate what they do. So that has been of tremendous it's been kind of a tremendous blessing that my formal training in that helps me do it and helps me get into that. So that's informed me. So you kind of have to be able to put on that that head, if you will, and enter that world. So it's kind of like a VR set, you know, and a video game. With that VR set, put that on, and then you're able to enter and go in there.
We got Brian anchoring to that alpha theta state. Okay.
Alpha state. You'll have an absence of language in the theta state. So language will not exist there. So the anchoring will generally start in beta and get crystallized in alpha. So if you, Brian, when we're doing the buoy flows, right? The initial buoy flows, when you're setting that up, I've set that up as my anchor. And so before the first buoy strike goes, the anchor has set in and I've gotten into the alpha state.
Wow.
So Brian and I have common roots in the southern buoy knife fighting and Arkansas.
Yeah, I've seen that out there. He's got some good stuff going on. We gotta get him on here. We gotta get Brian on here. All right, blade. We talked a little about this blade versus stick, and like not just, you know, hey, you know, we're using a stick, but you know, but we're really training for the blade. I mean, we all have kind of heard this and all that. You know, what say you on that? You know,
what do you mean?
Meaning that you know, I mean, we're training with a stick in our hand, but guys, remember this replicates the blade, and that I just never jived with me. You know, for numerous reasons, but I don't want to say it. I want. You know, coming from you, what do you think? What do you say on that?
There are different classes of weapons, right? Period. If you train predominantly with the stick, you're going to behave like a stick fighter. And then when you put a blade in your hand, you will move the blade very much like a stick, and most likely cut yourself too, right? And similarly, if you just always fenced with a rapier and I give you a stick, you're most likely going to approach it from a rapier perspective. So context is pretty important, right? So I think my beef here comes from, I think per our discussion offline, right? My beef here comes from people who've always worked with, say, sticks, and they say, oh, but I am a knife fighter. No, you're not. Most knife fighters have at some point or the other cut themselves, and they don't freak out when they see blood. It's pretty much like doing forms, right? Say you're doing, I'll just take Wushu for example. You're doing a Wushu form, or you know what's happening with the Filipino martial arts with the anyos being done. You know, you're using aluminum weapons, and you do all these backflips, this and that. Come on, man. It's not going to happen if you have a live blade. So I think in the blade, that edge awareness is critical. When you're doing things with a buoy, you start looking at things such as a back cut. So the false edge, which could also be sharp, starts training your brain in certain ways. Or if there is just a false edge, am I going to use that in order to block and move and make sure that my edge doesn't touch it, or if the edge touches it, it's at a 30-degree angle, so that is least damage to my blade. Well, why is that important? Because in certain places you just had one weapon and you didn't want your weapon dinged. In certain cultures, if your weapon was dinged, it was a matter of dishonor for you. These guys would rather die than have their weapon dinged. Right? It meant that you didn't have enough skill. But again, it depends on context, and everyone has an opinion on it, and I have one too. And my opinion is that, hey, training with a certain thing will inform you of that certain truth, right? So, for example, if you exclusively trained with sticks, you may say, "Oh, I'll take that hit."
Yeah, I know. I'll take that hit in the shoulder to come under a root block and get into a clinch.
Okay, let me try that with you with a Kampila.
No, I know. I'm with you.
On your shoulder, right? So I think that informs us differently. And again, you know, I think if you've trained with blades long enough and then you pick up a stick, you can imagine that, hey, what this would feel like and how do I move, and I do it so that I don't freak out my neighbors and have them call the cops as to why do I have a madman swinging blades at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Or you use it as a way to polish your skills because there's nothing else available. But if you haven't felt what the real thing is, then you didn't know. I mean, it would be like akin to saying, hey, soldiers, you're going to go out there and fight a war with this AR-15. But guess what? Bullets are expensive these days, right? The 223 is like, damn, 80 cents. That's expensive. So tell you what, let's play a video game and let me teach you how to shoot. You'll have the same experience. You can imagine that. And now you go to war.
Good analogy. Okay.
Now suddenly you're not facing recoil. You're not facing the smell of the fire chamber. Right? And what happens then? So that's my perspective, and I'm sure there are other perspectives, some probably more informed than me. But at this stage of my development, where I stand, what I have seen, I think if you want to learn how to fight with blades, pick up a blade.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So enough on that. So we got Mark is asking, the Grand Master of Kotori Shinto-ryu has just passed away. Is there a successor?
Oh man, he just wants me in trouble, doesn't he?
And you're like, so
I officially, I think his younger son has taken over as the Shihan.
Okay.
And that was 2 years prior to his death, Mark, that he had already started teaching. But that's all. It's not my art. I shouldn't say much about it.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. And Brian said anytime. Yeah, Brian, we'll have to make it happen. Realistically, this keeps growing and growing. So, like August or September. All right. You've made, so we're going to kind of get into hopology here and all that. You've made numerous expeditions on finding ancient systems and all that. I guess what triggered the interest and all that, and what was maybe incentive or inspiration and all that, and this kind of kick you off on your studies of hopology, or is this what was kind of what triggered it, or?
Yeah, so hopology is the study of combat, usually armed, and the study of deep violence. Okay, so just so that if just put that out and frame it right, and it's been in existence forever, but formally as a discipline and as a word came into existence with Sir Richard Francis Burton, and with his Book of the Sword. That was the beginning of it, and all his exploits, and there being giant.
Oh, I'm sure I'll be back. I'm gonna guess. Could be a battery issue. The reason I say that because when it's something sudden like that, it's usually a battery issue. Give him a few minutes. But definitely nothing on Be Live's end. That's usually. Let me just see if he's messaged. But we'll definitely give him a few minutes. I'm going to assume he's going to need a charger. He hears me, but that's strange because you're not here. Let me just message him. I can see and hear you. You're back. Okay, all right, folks. Yeah, you disappeared, but you're back.
Oh, that's weird, man.
I thought it was the way because you suddenly left. Usually that's a result of a battery going dead. So that's kind of what I thought.
That's weird. I have no idea what happened.
Yeah, usually that's, but yeah, who knows? Maybe it was just a glitch. But we're on hopology and leading to your expeditions and all that.
Yeah, so there have been giants along the way, right? And my inspiration, I think like a lot of people in our generation, We grew up reading the works of Don Draeger, Robert W. Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that along with watching Star Wars and Indiana Jones, this call for adventure became very deep inside, right? So being kind of a nerdy kid who loved to study and read all this stuff up, and at the same time studying martial arts quite a bit, I said, hey, his influence was quite deep. And after he died, nothing really happened. And in fact, the only university that was studying hoplogy also shut down the discipline at the University of Kansas, 83, 84, give or take 1 or 2 years. Don't hold me to that, but you get the idea of the time period, right? And since then, nothing really happened in an organized fashion. So I said, hey, you know what? Somebody should do this. Because most of hoplogy until then had a very strong focus on being Japan-centric and maybe a little bit into Southeast Asia and Polynesian islands. But that was kind of the focus. But you know what, man? Humans have been fucked up everywhere on the planet. They have fought, they've screwed, and they've gotten killed everywhere. So we should be equal opportunists and look at all the other pieces, right? So I was talking to Bert Richardson, and it was many years ago.
Who's that guy? Who's that guy?
Some random dude in Hawaii, man. He's trouble, stay away. So I was talking to Bert. We had a few discussions on a couple of things and around Silat, and then he told me randomly about this dying art of stick licking in the islands of Barbados. And I said, you know what, I've been trying to hunt these guys down for a while. And then we went ahead and found the last 2 of them with my buddy and collaborator, Dr. Michael Ryan from Rivington University. So then I said, you know what, let's go study this, but study it in an organized fashion. I want to bring top-class martial artists, top-class anthropologists and scholars, bring musicians, and bring movie makers. And not just that, we want to capture all of this in 4K, right?
Okay.
And then secondly, we didn't want to meet them on their terms in some ways. We wanted to meet them. They say, hey, you're going to come, stay, live with us, and immerse yourself in this stuff 16 to 20 hours a day for 10, 12 days. So we are sitting, eating, sleeping, shitting this stuff, right? So why? Again, remember what I told you about the modeling process. We wanted to get the beliefs, we wanted to get their psychology, we wanted to get how they actually moved, how they organized all of this. We wanted to do that in a very systematic fashion. So that was the beginning of the first expedition. Then we also did the expedition where we looked at the arts, the dying arts of blade fighting and full contact stick fighting in Trinidad called Kalinda. And my brother Benjamin there, shout out to him, one of the last gatekeepers of the art. We worked on that. Then in the island of Tobago, from the island of Tobago, we had the arts of jab jab. This is steel whip fighting that emerged from the mixing of the Indian and African slaves. That's what they were, they moved out. The British came and moved us and put us in these places. And, this weird intermixing created this hybrid art. So we did that. After that, I led an expedition to, where did I go then? Portugal. Portugal and looked at the arts of Jogo de Pau.
Was it stick fighting art there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of the last maestros, Master Avelino, invited us over. Pedro of Pedro FMA, and then Oscar Kahuna. Really, really wonderful jogadores. They took us in. We looked at the last 10 surviving schools of Jogo de Pau, the 70, 80 players, played with all of that, looked at all of that, caught all of that on camera. After that, went down to Philippines with. So on that expedition, I had Mang Ron Saturno come with me. Sifu Douglas Wong, a 40-year practitioner of Tai Chi, and my whole crew. Then we had Romeo Makapagal, who was the co-expedition leader from Philippines, Guru J.J. Harris, Fabrizio Mansour, the Yundus brothers were there for parts of it. And
I'm sorry. What brothers?
The Yundus brothers.
Oh, okay.
Elric in France, right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that was the Mad Max crew. You know,
we're
going in a going in a van, traveling across Philippines and finding these arts in Payate and Bacolod, working with Mangromi on and archiving the entire art of Ilustrísimo as he learned it when he was working on with Tony Diego and Yuli Romo through the years, you know. So that was the fourth expedition, and then just before COVID hit, started working with the last warrior priest of the Maoris, and you know, so the art of Rongomomo. So the Rongomomo is the sacred wrestling art of the Maoris, never shown to an outsider, because they believe that this came from the gods, and the gods showed them how to deal and fight with these weapons. So we opened that door. We worked on that expedition to find the common roots of the arts across from India all the way down to New Zealand. And that expedition had my brother Timothy, had Mangromi, had Mangron Saturno, had Ata Mushtaq Ali Al-Ansari, had JJ Harris, had me, and a few other guys. But you understand that it was serious people doing serious stuff.
Oh yeah.
Extended periods of time.
Jeez, man.
So yeah, and then COVID.
That's incredible. I don't even know where to start. Just quickly, just on the stick fighting stuff of Trinidad, and what was the place you mentioned before Trinidad that you and Burton were talking about? What?
Barbados.
Barbados. Okay. So just quickly for the folks, you know, what did you see as far as compare and contrast with Barbados, Trinidad, and what we see today as stick fighting? Well, lack of a better reference, Dog Brothers, I guess. You know.
Oh boy.
Or any
you really want that call from Mark Denny for me, right?
Well, you know what? We'll leave Dog Brothers out. Any FMA system that, but like some distinct compare and contrast from those stick systems down there compared to what we're used to, I guess, in the FMA lens.
In short, it's a lot less organized. It's very indigenous. It's not shown to outsiders. Usually passed down from master to student or father to son. Remember, it was illegal for them to practice these arts. So the way they practiced these arts was sometimes at night in their small huts or their small homes and shutting lights out many a times. So the idea of instinct was very important in how that is trained and accessed. Secondly, these guys are not afraid of pain. They are not afraid of pain. I mean, it's one of the Kalinda players, his name's Keegan, you know, feeling each other out and just playing. And then he walks up to me, and I understand this, everybody there. He walks up to me and gives me a live machete. So I take the machete. I have no idea what he's talking about. And he's like, let's dance, brother. And he meant dance.
I would have been like, you know, well, this is great, but I think my flight's leaving.
If I had done that.
I'm just kidding. Yeah.
No, I know. If I had done that, they wouldn't open up.
Yeah. Disrespect and right. He's inviting you to participate in something, right?
Yeah, and then he started chanting, and I started chanting. It just went into a very weird place. Some of the elders there started getting worried, and it went into a very weird place. So in terms of how it's different, that's the big difference. These guys, So, for example, when the Kalinda players go and fight, they're just looking to draw blood. They're not afraid of it. And guess what? No protective gear. The fucking stick is this thick and about this big.
So what, over 30 inches long?
Oh, yeah, it's probably this long.
36, something like that? Okay,
Yeah, probably 36 to 40 inches and a good solid inch thick. And the guys actually go, we went into the forest to look for sticks the way they do, very shamanic. Which tree speaks to them, which tree speaks to them. They bring that back and then they break a beer bottle over it and pour the beer on it. They start singing, take that beer bottle, and they start carving the stick out themselves. So they're forming this, for the lack of a better term, an animistic bond with this stick. And then it becomes your stick.
Interesting.
So a lot less organized. The movement metaphor is designed around what is called cuts. Sometimes these guys would put a nail in the bloody stick on the end and lick a little blood,
Yeah.
And the art developed in order to deal with drunks and parties and women. So there's a sense of fighting for keeps, which is quite different than when you're doing something for a sport or even gentle.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, there it's stakes are a little higher.
Yeah.
Wow. No, that was great. No, thank you. I was just myself being curious, and I'm guessing, maybe some of the audience.
It is not. It does not look like FMA.
Okay. No, yeah, that's actually refreshing.
Yeah, it does not look like FMA. It's got a very African soul. There's a lot of dancing and moving, and then it's about, hey, you sing your song. Am I the blind man stick? How does a blind man move with a blind man stick? Or how does a pirate move? So there are songs that go with each style, if you will. And I don't want to use the word style in the generic sense, but say I developed my style, for example. Let's say I developed my style and I was like, bad eyesight style. Okay, what would bad eyesight style be like? And then I'm singing my song. I'll be singing my song, calling my ancestors, and that'll be the bad eyesight style.
Huh. Fascinating. Wow. So so let's obviously in your travels, I mean, you must be seeing or have experienced or seen systems that are on. I think you might have mentioned one that are either close to extinction or on the verge of extinction or have become extinct. Any that come to mind?
A lot of them, right? Like many of these arts are one generation away from being completely forgotten.
I know, and it's great. I tell you, 20 years from now, I think we're going to see a much different landscape too.
Yeah. Like I said, my brother in New Zealand, Timothy Pahi, he's the last of the warrior priests. And there's nobody who's training to do that, right? You look at Jogo de Pau, there were less than 80 players left who are doing this very, very seriously. I hope it grows, but it's still just always one or two people away. God forbid they're in a car crash or something happens, the rod goes, right? So that's what I mean, So stick licking, as far as I go, there are two people left, Philip Ford and Biggert, right? Something happens to them, that Barbadian art is gone. So
I know, that's just like, I know when you think about it, like, yeah, that's not good. But I guess it's kind of reality. So the impact. Okay, you touched on this a little. And this is a question you received actually. The impact of the hijack on performance and how native cultures work on it or embrace it. I guess, so to speak.
Yeah. So when you think about the brain, right? I think the more you begin to think or use your executive function, you actually have more fear come into the system. And if you're thinking about consequences all the time and you're afraid of death, so what that sometimes does, it creates what is called an amygdala hijack in your brain. So the amygdala is your fear center, if you will, and that's hijacked, you freeze. If you freeze, you're fucking dead. No other way of saying it.
Yeah.
In the native cultures, you just learn to accept death. I think in our culture, we are afraid of death. You haven't learned how to accept death as a natural consequence.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Right? And then many of these cultures are looking for a glorious death.
They almost like know it, embrace it, I guess, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yes. So if you look at Spartans, if you look at the Greeks, they got this idea of a glorious death, right? So and you find that with the morals, you find that with the
Why is he freezing? It's got to be something going on here.
You find a lot of stuff. So when they have this relationship where the I is forgotten, when I say I mean the small little body, and I'm thinking of the larger I, which is my community, my gods, my relationship with nature. When I'm fighting for that, this doesn't matter. There's no fear. But the more I get caught in this little I,
thinking on it or not bracing, and now it's making it twitchy, jumpy, and okay, the morals definitely had to embrace that, right?
Yeah, so I think in terms of training, perhaps you can train for it, but I think it's really about growing up in it and
being exposed to it. Yeah.
And this is who you are.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that now. For instance, I'm like looking at us, and for us to start to train to embrace that as opposed to growing up with it, that'd be a tough challenge.
Yeah.
Wow, how fascinating, man, oh man. Okay, so obviously your expeditions and all this. What was the inspiration? What led to the creation of Immersion Labs, which I think is an absolutely incredible what you're doing with that. What kicked it off?
Two things. One is I wanted to save and archive a rare art that I was doing, and my teacher, in a very traditional sense, said, if you want to save our art, then go save all the arts. So you probably have to be Indian or at least Asian to understand that. I don't know how else to explain it, right? So it's kind of that was a critical thing, and I was like, I don't even know how to begin on that, right? So what he told me is, if you're going to do all the work and set up the infrastructure for this, why not have it as a gift for the others as well? Okay, but quite frankly, I felt it was a little too much, and I didn't know where to start. And then on one road trip, back from Jim Keating, it's a 16-hour trip to me to drive from my home to his. A few things clicked, and I was doing that. I called it my pilgrimage. I would do that pilgrimage 4 or 5 times a year. Yeah. On one of those trips, a few things clicked, and we said, okay, let's begin to do this. So I said, okay, it'll be 2 prongs. One will be go out in the middle of nowhere and do these expeditions. But then how do I know which one's real and which one is not? So I said we have to also have an inverse thing where we bring 8-10 of these guys around to explore a idea together in one place. And then you figure out here what's really worth exploring. So the first one was around the blades of the world. I had 11 different...
what do you 218 or 217 or something?
Yeah, 17 or 18 was all.
Yeah. I figured it was around that. And the first one was long blades or short?
Just blades. So I had kept it as just blades, and I had guys like Bert Richardson, Mark Mikita, Ron Saturno. I had the Jogo de Pau guys, and those guys came in Stigmata. I had the Italian blades, a version of a South African blade, Japanese blades, and some Chinese blades. So these were some of the explorations that we started. And then the following year, we said, okay, let's look at sticks. And then we had 11 different traditions of stick fighting show up. And then the next year, I did Born of Blood, which was start looking at, let's start around the 8th and 9th century Common Era, the growth of the Indian Empire and how it went down all the way from the Malay to Philippines to Indonesia, all the way to New Zealand. So we had guys like Suleiman Sharif, Cheko Suleiman Sharif, come in from Malaysia. We had the crew from Philippines. We had a couple of Hawaiians. We had the Maoris, the New Zealanders coming in, and that was that,
So the first one, when you had the blades, obviously that had to be incredibly orchestrated. You're generating a list. Was it kind of referrals or people that just interested you? How did the selection process go?
It was both, There are a few people that I trust inherently, and I would ask them, I said, hey, who do you think? What do you think? And then there were a few wild cards that picked up the phone and I said, hey, let's talk. And I had kept a very low profile. I still keep a low profile. The only reason I come out a little bit at the front is I want the light on the work, right? It's not about me. It's really not. I want the light on the work, and it needs somebody out in the front. So I serve in that capacity, right? So back then, they didn't know who I was or what I did. They're like, who are you? What's your name? You've got a funny name and even funnier accent. And why should I listen to you? Right? So that was the genesis of it. I got ripped off by a few guys. I got screwed by a few guys. And I met some absolute obnoxious assholes.
And you're trying to do a good thing. And of course, the negativity, whether you want side dishes to come along.
Yeah, but you know what? That's the truth, and that's the truth of the industry we are in as well. So I think we have to be aware of that. But I'm glad I didn't end up. So that became a selection criteria for us to say, okay, these are some of the arts we want to go and explore. Because the first few expeditions, man, I didn't know what I was doing. Meaning,
you're learning as you go along. Yeah.
And just think about this, how nuts this is. Okay, just so you understand, we had guys from 5 countries. 5 fighting traditions who've never met each other, meeting in the jungles of Barbados to test out what we know.
Yeah.
That's insane. Now when I think about it, it's insane.
Yeah, by the time you're so immersed in it, you're just trying to make it happen. Now when you look back, it's probably like surreal. Like, wow, that happened. How?
Yeah. So that was that. But you know what? This was not all me. That'll be a lie, right? So I want to make sure that the people who worked on it get their rightful place and their credit. I was blessed to have some incredible students. Some of them are still with me, some of them are not with me, but that does not take away their contribution. They did some phenomenal work. There are 2 guys who got my phone calls every day and probably got fed up of me. This Chris Nally and Ron Saturno, because I was dealing with, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that.
Oh, yeah. You were helping you out. And
and then I was getting ripped off. I was getting ripped off by some instructors. I was getting this by that or that, So I was like, okay. It was a education in the School of Hard Knocks, because I'd never organized a seminar before and never done any of this before.
Yeah, I tell you, man, it's not like I've never done anything to the magnitude what you're describing, but I've had some people, man, it's like people don't understand like what you're putting into it, and money, time, and all that, and in your case, you're coordinating for 8, 9 people and then you got people coming out to see it, and then wow. So just again, the first one being on the blade, what was, I'm sure the feedback was incredible. I mean, Brian here saying it was amazing. Mahipal and the crew did a fantastic job. Like, what was the I'm sure the feedback must have been incredible. I mean, on the first one, you bring all these different blade guys in and all that. I mean, like, well received.
It was good and bad, I mean, I'm glad Brian really enjoyed it. That makes my heart warm, and a lot of people enjoyed it. But there were also a lot of moments that were not so bright, and we kind of shielded the audience from it. In fact, I didn't tell you one of the incidents until yesterday. It was the day before yesterday, right? And that's over. It's forgotten, right? So there were a lot of incidents that happened. A few people were ready to draw their blades. One guy was ready to draw a 45 caliber. Okay, we had some guys who were members of opposing gangs in the same place. Most of the guys who were participants, like Brian, they had at least 15 years of serious martial arts training before I allowed them in. Right, so the audience also was not rookies. Most of them were instructors in their own right.
Right. The instructors who wanted to come see this. Gotcha.
Yeah. So there were a lot of egos, a lot of testosterone. So I had to learn how to work with it, deal with it. And back then, nobody knew or cared about Mahipal. Not that they know or care about Mahipal now, but that's they care about it a little more now because they realize the impact of this work. But back then, it was like, "Hey, I need you to do this." I'm like, "I'm not your bitch." I said that to 2-3 guys. So
I'm not your bit.
I actually said that. So I think that they.
Hey, so there you are, like trying to do a good thing for the community. Of course, you gotta just
people are people. They're everywhere. And I had to tell one guy that I was not his computer support guy too.
So, like when you got, I mean, like who really just captivated you during this? Where you actually wanted to go kind of train with him? Was it Mark? Were you already training with Mark then, or
no? I'd never met Mark Makita until then.
After that, that's kind of what attracted you to seek him out.
He's freaking phenomenal. Okay, I've trained with a lot of people around the world, and there are very few people like, say, a Mark Makita or a Stephen Plank. Very few. So after that, he was gracious enough to come, stay with me, and teach me and my small group. And we did this for a long time until COVID hit, and we did this every other month. So Guru Mark was definitely very, very high on the list there. And there was also the Italian knife fighting, Chilo Meraviglio, for example, the art
Sicilian?
Southern, from the Apulian.
Okay.
Right? Nobody had ever seen the art. It was never allowed to be filmed. We actually got the Maestro Domenico to actually agree and come, and we worked with him, and we actually, for the first time, got the system on film. So that was also a very rugged way. So some of the models that came out of it were, not all blades are the same, and what drives it is different mindset. So we started looking at, hey, is this a royal art? Meaning, was it kings and infantry that drove it? Then the expression of those blades were very different. Or was it, is it a pirate art? Meaning these guys are running, they're on the slide, they're always looking to slip out, see what the rules are and play around it, right? Was it a pirate art, right? Or was it a peasant art? A peasant art is where, lower middle class to poor, they worked with the tools, they worked in the field, they worked with the tools, that tools were the weapons. Or is it a priestly art, right? Or is it a priestly art? So I developed that model of the 4Ps to start classifying these arts and say, okay, what is the brain structure? What are the weapons? How do you work with it? So that's where the collaboration with the universities, the neuroscientists, for example, one of my collaborators is Marco Quarta, right? He's a postdoc in medicine, right? So we have to actually sit down and say, okay, this is what happens. How do you work it? What does that mean? How do these arts relate to it? I can call I'm generally on calls with guys like Michael Ryan and TJ Obi, two of the most renowned martial arts anthropologists in the world, and say, okay, where can we find sources for this in native cultures? What does this mean? So what that started to do was build a holistic map where neurology, anthropology, cultural studies, right,
all kind of converged,
started coming together.
Gotcha. So going back to the first one, I'm just thinking, like, what did so you had Bert, okay, so you had Bert and Mark, Master Ron, you had an Italian rep.
Yeah, we had a whole bunch. All the people are getting mixed up in my head right now.
So I mean, but there had to be, I'm guessing those guys for the most part got along, kind of, checked each other out. I mean, I know Mark and Burton known each other for, years.
30, 35 years, yeah. I think, like water seeks its own level, right? So water seeks its own level, and then I think a few people gravitated towards each other, and a few people repelled from each other. And that's okay. Some of it is cultural, some of it is I don't get that, or I'm not interested in that style. But everybody was professional. Everybody was courteous.
Good.
All the masters stayed on the mat and worked out the other master systems. Even guys like
you jump on that, right?
Yeah, I mean, like one of the best examples of it, right? I can't, in my mind, he's the model of humility, right? In my mind, is Martin Wheeler. He's an amazing martial artist, He has guys like Mark Denny and Dan Inosanto go to him and they learn with him in his school in Beverly Hills. And yet he was there, and he attended, even before his session, he attended every session like a regular student. And he just stood head and shoulders above everybody else in terms of his approachability and humility. And I was like, wow,
that's right.
There is a mature martial artist.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Like somebody's got to take this opportunity, regardless of their history or how they're perceived, and actually see other people's stuff and styles, and
then there were some other guys who they did that session, and all they did was go outside and talk and try to put their students and others. And you know what? We shut the door on them. I'm like, okay, you want to do that? Do that.
Yeah, that's what you want to do. I'm telling you right now, this guy here is going to be attending everybody and getting as much information. Now, what about Burton? I mean, come on. What the Burton show? I'm just kidding.
Burton worked basically on the karambit and Paris, and he was basically showing the retirada footwork, from what I remember, and elastico. Those were two things he showed. And then he also did what he says is boiling down to the two moves with the karambit, and then there was just a lot of intermixing of things between Mark Mikita and Burton, so it was rich, It was rich. Okay, I'm just trying to remember what stands out in my mind.
I'm just saying, like, I mean, what does he know?
Yeah, what the hell does he know?
He gets quiet and he'll be inspired as a student,
Yeah, Bert was very gracious. I had called him, and I remember him asking me, have you ever done a seminar before? And I said, no. And he's like, and what are you trying to do? I said, this. So I think he's like, I really want you to think about these few things, why don't you write a proposal up and tell me what you think about it and how you want to go about it. So I did that. I got back to him. And then he's like, you know what? I'll do this with you. If you're crazy enough to do this shit, I'll do this with you.
Yeah, he's got, I can see him like trying to help you, and definitely, doing that. Yeah. So the next one now, you went to, if I'm not mistaken, it's Stick, correct? That was okay. So I'm assuming Mark Denny, you're going to have a dog brother there.
Yeah, I got Mark Denny there to do stick grappling. Then for the first time in history, we got the three competing schools of Stockton together in one time, one place.
You got Hiron, Cabalas. And
I had the Quartas, I had Cabalas and Bahalana. I had Dexter from Bahalana. I had Vincent Cabalas, his brother Johnny Cabalas, and Ron Saturno. So 3 of the 16 masters from Sarada. And then we had the Quartas. So this was the first time that all the 3 schools.
So the 3, not the multi-stock, individually you had them. Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
And they were there together, working together and showing things. So we had them, we had Mark Denny, we had Grima from Colombia, we had some of the Garote work from Venezuela. We had 2 expressions of Japanese arts. One was Koshoru Kempo with Hanshi Bruce Jaknek, and then Aiki Jiu-Jitsu. And then we had Devon from Canada showing some of the classical HEMA long pole methods.
Okay.
Mark Mikita do his Sumbrada. I know I'm forgetting somebody. We had Martin Wheeler do Sistema. We had Master Emilio show the Filipino long stick, which is Ado, right? So all that was over a period of 3.5 days, 3.5 days. Start at 6:37 in the morning and wrap up at 10:30, and then guys would go out.
Long days. And then the last one was
Born of Blood.
So what was the theme here?
The arts of the islands, right? So
okay.
The arts starting from India and how they went to, depending on who you ask, how the arts went and informed each other and changed over time, from India to Malaysia to Philippines to Indonesia to Hawaii to New Zealand.
Okay. Oh, fascinating. Okay. And you had so was that more art specific or just people from kind of those areas?
No, it was the arts from those regions. So we had Mangromi who came down. It was very gracious of him. We had Timothy Pai from New Zealand. We were supposed to have Michelle Manu from Hawaii. We had Mushtaq Ali Al-Ansari, who covered the arts of Mindanao and West Java. We had Suleiman Sharif from Malaysia. We had Guru Mark Mikita and a few others. I'm just blanking out, but it was a full house.
If I had to get, I'm just saying for me, not seeing the others and all that, but if I was going in there blindfolded and you named that stuff to me, man, I'm jumping at the Moro arts. Like I want to see what they're showing, and Malaysia, without just knowing about the others. You know what I mean? So
yeah, we also had Guru Caballero come out. He doesn't teach publicly. This is the first time he came to show the art, and then that became the genesis of us trying to find the common roots of Sarada and Kali Lastrissimo, right? Because if you look at the Dharan work and some of the other things and the shared stories, I don't want to get into that right now here. It'll come out in some peer-reviewed papers and videos. But it's just impossible for them to have been 2 separate arts at some time. There were too many similarities. When I was over in Philippines, Mangromi is like, "You're moving like us," or I'm like, "Hey, I know that. That looks familiar." And yet there was no formal training in old school Sarada. And I have to be very clear here. I'm talking about old school Sarada. I'm talking about first generation Sarada. First generation Sarada is very different from the second and third generation Sarada that you see out there. So that was the genesis, and there was just like this mutual respect and learning. And also we also had the Latigo Idaga. I forgot about that. We had the Latigo Idaga also being shown of how the Filipino whip works and how that works.
The whip. Okay. Wow. And so COVID kicks in. So what do you think could be next? I mean, what would be the next theme, maybe?
I have some ideas, but we are going to see how this, I was supposed to head out to 2 expeditions during COVID. Of course, I didn't do it. One was to Holland, where we were going to look at the Dutch Indonesian arts and the how the Indonesian art spread around the world, from Indonesia to Papua New Guinea, Burma, South Africa, where the Malays and the Indonesians have been since the 19th century. Then coming on to the New World, both Holland and Suriname. So we were looking at that and how these arts spread. The other one was a much darker topic, a really dark topic on how, when somebody is being hunted down by entire armies, how does this guy survive all by himself in a
deal with that.
War-ravaged Bosnia? So those were 2 expeditions that got canceled because of COVID. So what's in the future is we continue to see what this new world will allow us and not allow us to do. But we've kept a maddening pace of work. So those who are familiar with what I do and what I put up on Immersion Labs, you see I'm doing these regular postings. That is not for marketing as much as it is a methodology issue, because you don't want to forget what was done and who said what when, and that serves as a record of it. And of course, it's a crazy schedule where sometimes it's Mondays with Mangromis, Tuesdays with Kali Lestrissimo, Tuesdays with Timothy Pahi on the Maori arts. Wednesdays we opened up the Indian arts of Varmakalai and Marmakalai. Thursdays is studying formal hoplology, opening up all of Drager's old works with one of his old students, Mike Belzer Sensei, who also spent a lot of time, 3 months with Tatang being his bodyguard as he explored. As he explored Philippines. And in many ways, if you look at the book Secrets of Kali Lestrissimo, you will see that he was the person who gave the name to the art as well, Kali Lestrissimo. So he's somebody not a lot of people know about, but that is history.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Wow.
So we are continuing that archiving, and then we are relaunching the journal. The journal will start coming out again in a short period of time. We'll cover 1 topic a year, in-depth articles, completely peer-reviewed. For example, year 1 is all about stick fighting. We have 56 papers from 40 countries. I think this is probably the largest collection of stick fighting ever accumulated.
Because I've never heard anything else to this magnitude. It's got to be. Of a coalition of things that you're bringing together. I mean, yeah.
So that's
coming soon. That's coming soon.
Yeah, I think in the next 2 months you'll see the second issue come out. So my hope is that in the future, if your viewers know of somebody, know of people and arts that are on the verge of dying, and can help connect me. Let's figure out how we do this together, whether it's the headhunters.
Yeah. As opposed to just letting them fall off the face of the earth.
I'm really looking for the headhunters in Papua New Guinea, and I will go there if somebody can help me find them. No. So that's the future. And of course, I'm hoping for some trips to the Southeast Asia, because there are quite a few arts that I'm hoping to work with for 2 reasons. One is archive, and 2, selfishly, me also learn and see what I know and what I don't know,
The exposure.
So,
yeah, absolutely. So with regards to what you're mentioning, you also just recently posted something which we all shared regarding you're looking for basically assistance or to help with your project and all that, if I'm not mistaken. And how can one assist? This is a question also from Alvin in conjunction with what you posted, but how can one assist?
So it depends on what kind of assistance that you're willing to do. If you have audio-visual, if you have audio-video skills, we'd love to have you as a media intern, right? So work with, and I'm talking about cutting-edge cameras. You're talking about $20,000-$25,000 tools that you'll be playing with. Learning how to do this on 4K cameras with a very experienced anthropology movie maker. So that would be one particular opportunity. If you have skills that are either specific to a particular geography or research, then we would love to have you as a research assistant on some of our projects, where you'd either work with me or you work with one of our professors on specific topics, and you will start learning about it and moving with it. If you're already a PhD or a full professor, then we want to work with you as a scholar in residence to help with the peer review process, to make sure things are all kosher and provide their very unique perspective on it. So we recently brought in a member, a full professor from the University of Helsinki in Finland, and he teaches political conflict around the world and the impact of oppressor and oppressed arts. So so these are some of the kinds of different people that are coming together. And in many ways, it's in some ways you can come work with us and define your own program, because what we want is not, hey, I want you to do XYZ. We are just trying to get people to say, hey, you know what, I have a passion project. I would love to do XYZ. What we'll do is we'll help you make that happen, so that there is an actual organization, there is a methodology and a process of doing it. And you also would, if the work is good, you also have instant access and credibility. So that's really what we're trying to do. So we're just trying to bring this coalition of independent people together to say, okay, we all agree that some of these arts need to be saved. We want to do this, and this is how we do. But a couple of things, right? No BS artists, don't come in for marketing, don't come in for money. There's no money. You're going to lose money doing this, okay? and be a man of your word. You're going to deal with extremely smart people on one end and extremely fierce people on the other end, and neither of them will stand for your bullshit.
Yeah. Neither are gonna tolerate immaturity or crap. So I got Julia says here, if we have experience with RE Mini, how much does your internship start?
I have no idea what RE Mini is.
Julius, give us some more clarification on that. Okay, so you cheat. Yeah, he'll expand on that, and I'll check. Another question from Alvin. You had previous recordings on SoundCloud. Can they still be accessed or no?
We got hacked. I lost a lot of them.
Oh man.
So I am actually bummed and really trying to get them myself, because those recordings were going to become peer-reviewed papers. I'm hoping, I wish if somebody has downloaded them somewhere, if you can find it in your heart to give it to me, I would be eternally grateful.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, because matter of fact, Alvin just said, "Oh no."
Yeah, I know.
He wanted his students to see them if they were around. Oh boy, they were great interviews. Okay. That's too bad. Oh jeez. I tell you, huh? I mean, who were some, like Maya, Burton? Who were some of the other that you interviewed?
Everybody that I worked with. Maya, Burton, JJ, Mangromi, Ron Saturno, Jaime Macapagal, Martin Wheeler, Mark Denny, Mark Mikita. Yeah, name it. You name it. If we touched hands and we crossed hands,
somebody's got to have them out there. Somebody has to, right?
I know somebody has it.
Somebody has it. It's going to be, well, hopefully somebody post this interview. Hopefully somebody comes forward and offers you. Okay, Julius gave some clarification.
Just give it to me. I won't say a word. Just
Yeah.
I would love to have it.
Guro Mahipal. Julius just gave some clarification with it's an Alexa Mini is a 32,000 4K camera. This is, yeah.
RE Alexa. No, that's not what we work with. We work with Blackmagic. That's the platform that we are using. So that was the investment we made 3-4 years ago. So Blackmagic, and then very high-end Nikon prime lenses. If you understand AV, that's the stuff you're using. We use top-end lavalier mics, multiple ends, record multiple tracks, and then all that is merged pretty much to a quality that all these films could be seen in an IMAX theater.
Yeah, wow. Well, just if you understood
the reason for that is if you're going to archive something and you want to save something, you have to do it in a way that it has 50 to 100 years life. Otherwise, I mean, I have so many treasures that are on VHS, but I can't get myself to see it because I'm like, I can't see this. Or 8mm films, and then people put them away in boxes and we forget about it, and then sometimes it gets thrown away.
Yeah, definitely forget about it, right? Or they convert them to CDs. I got experience with Blackmagic cameras as well.
Send me an email, mahipal@theimmersionlabs.com, or just ping me on Facebook, and then we'll talk.
All right. Hopefully you guys can generate something going there for a good common cause. All right, you teach. So what do you teach for those who might want to, are curious, interested in all that? I mean, what files?
Oh boy. So I'll just break it into two just for ease, right? So one is a very, very traditional Japanese system. And it's a promise that I'd made to my teacher, Sensei Sastry. He's the reason I'm here alive in so many ways. If he was not around, I would not be doing any of this. And he's the one who was always has been the greatest source of inspiration. I've been called a liar, like he doesn't exist, whatnot. Like, no, he's real. But my buddies like Chris Nally and a few others have seen him. But back then we didn't take pictures, we didn't take too many videos, but he's still around. So his art, he passed it down just to 2 people. I'm one of those 2. And I made a promise to him that I would at least pass it down to 2 people. So I teach it very much in the way he taught me. And I have taught 3 days a week since 2006. So it's in Mountain View. It's an hour-and-a-half drive for me, but I do that drive and I teach. So that's my very traditional piece. Then secondly, I work on what I just call whatever interests me at a particular point, and that's a loose group, a loose formation group that I work closer to my home here in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Everything from Filipino martial arts to seal arts to classic Americana, which is Bowie knives, Arkansas toothpick, and sometimes even throw in Shastra Vidya. So it really depends what's calling me forth, or what people are getting out of me. So just 2 small groups, very small school, insignificant school. I call it little school that goes on great adventures, and the adventures are into yourself. Both schools have less than 6-7 students each. That's how it'll remain.
So both are small group settings. Now, do you do privates in any of the particular ones that you teach in the small?
I've been asked to do privates for a few things, and if time and things allow, then I do it. Some people come to me with like, hey, I really want to learn the Bowie knife stuff. Can you show me? And I'll do with them. And then if there are some of my students who have grown up and now they want to get into things like Shugendo, which is the mystical arts of the Japanese and the Ainu, then if the energy feels right, then I'll work with them on that particular part. So it really depends, so depends what the question is, and then if I have an answer, I'll try to help them out. If I don't have an answer, I usually have a resource that I can connect them to, and then I do that.
Okay. So, all right. So we're about to wrap up here. So future goals. I mean, obviously you got the goal which you're hoping to complete there with Immersion Labs once COVID's realized. But any other future goals for you, and with regards to the martial arts community?
I just want to learn, man. So I'm going to continue learning, and I'm hoping that I can teach some of these things to my 2 little girls, and if I can pass down some of these things to those girls, and if I've made some impact on my students in a positive way, and then if I have worked on elevating the backyard training to a different level, where it also has the understanding of scholars, it also has that kind of light coming on it, then you know what, it would have been a well-lived life. So
yeah, well said. Yeah, I mean, right, if you can get your 2 girls to get some training in there, and get them inspired about it, and then you continue with your groups and all that.
All I know, they're going to want to do taekwondo and not want to do my arts. I just have that feeling.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I know, because I tell you, I ran the same thing. No, I don't want to do that. I want to do what you do, Dad. I'm like, well, why don't you do this first, and then we could talk about.
So
do the same thing.
Yeah, so my goals are just that. I'm hoping that I can bring hoplology back, and in some ways get back into the schools, and then a few people that I work with, just like some of my teachers. I mean, they spend a lot of time and effort on me. They give a part of their heart and their soul, and I want to pass that on. And something Uncle Jim would always tell me is like, Mahi, you're nothing but a bridge from the last generation to the next generation. Make that bridge as small as possible, So hopefully I can do that for 1 or 2, and that will be a well-lived life for me. So small goals.
Yeah, I know. Those are great goals. And all that. So, well, we're going to be actually, for those who are watching, we're not going to be seeing the last of you, because it looks like we're going to get the old pony show back together with me, you, Mark, and Dwight. So, that's going to be, so folks that are watching, that will be happening soon. We're going to schedule a date, and that will be occurring in FMA Discussion, just due to we'll be using Zoom and all that, and you guys will see you'll see the notice and all that. But yeah, look out for part 4 or part 5. I lost track, but I want to say 4, but could be wrong. I think it's 4. But at any rate, but those are always good conversations, so I urge you guys to definitely check that out. You'll see the flyer. There'll be plenty of notice in regards to that. So I really appreciate you coming on here. This has been most educational, enjoyable. Any closing thoughts for the wonderful community of FMA?
Yeah, please. I do have one. I have a request. I really have a request. It's an honest, heartfelt request. If there are arts out there that are on the verge of extinction, if there are things that should not be lost, and remember, this is your cultural history. This belongs to you, and Immersion Labs always gives all the primary films back to the people. Okay, we would love for you to help us shine some light on it and capture it. And if you can help us source some of those, I will take you on the expedition with me. Okay, so this work that we ask people to do, it's not free. Yes, you'll be putting in a lot of hours, but we also create those opportunities for you where no matter where you're in the world, there's some of our ILF people who will work with you for free. You are in the Bay Area, come to my school for free while you're working on this. You're in LA, go learn Kali Lestrisimo with JJ Harvest for free while you're there. You know, you're in Thailand, Mark will work with you. Mark Stewart will work with you as long as you're working with ILF. So we have. Mark? Yeah, he knows that. If he doesn't know it, he knows it now. But my point is, you will get something back. I don't believe in taking something without giving something of equal or greater value, and that's what has helped me build bridges, and I hope to continue to do that. So I really hope, especially within the FMA community, there's so much divide. Let's forget that. Let's find a way to get some of these arts and capture them and not get caught up. Oh, he's a KI guy, he's a Serrada guy, he's this guy. Fuck that shit, man. Let's save all these arts, you know? Yeah,
absolutely. And who's the rep you mentioned in KI? Is he under Mongromi? JJ?
Yeah, JJ, he was a 30-year, he is a 30-year private student of Mongromi.
Okay, JJ, okay. And in LA, am I correct? LA?
Yeah, he's in LA.
Okay, no, great. Okay. Again, Guru, friend.
Like, just a sample of people. There's a whole bunch of other people.
Oh yeah. But you just
I'll hook you up.
Yeah. No. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you coming on here. You know, this has been. I'm glad we were able to make it happen, and I haven't given up on Ron. So we're gonna keep working that.
Yeah,
too. He's ready.
He is. You know? He's interesting. He's slippery sometimes, and but credit where it is due. You know, I think he's got the fastest sticks in his cream. I'd probably get me into trouble for saying this, but that man's speed and understanding of things is at another level. As far as Filipino American martial arts are concerned, I consider him a living treasure. And he teaches very, very, very few students. And if you have an opportunity to go learn from him, you know? So.
Well, hopefully, I'm persistent. Hopefully, we can get him on here.
He made me run around to start lessons for 6 months. He was the guy that would take me to eat tacos when I drove all the way to
Stockton. Okay. All right.
So just to give you a context, you know.
So anybody who's seeking him out, prepared to go on a taco run.
Yeah, taco run. Going to flea markets looking for a very particular nail. He's feeling you out. He's trying to see what.
I think that's great. I don't know. I think we're too easy accepting. I think it's a good thing to do a little however you go about it. Whether you go touring a flea market, you grab something to eat, but getting to know that person. I don't know. I like it. So.
Yeah. So hey, thank you, really, Dean. It was a pleasure for me to be a representative of the work that Immersion Foundation has been doing, and all the wonderful ambassadors that have been gracious enough and kind enough to work with us, and many cases kick my ass left, right, and center. And I really appreciate you taking this time to help me shine the light on that one very particular strand of training called backyard tribal clan arts, always done in small private groups. And hopefully we don't see the last of these, you know.
I hope we don't either. And this has been wonderful. I know I learned stuff just listening to you and all that, so as well as others. But so yes, like all others, I'm going to download this, and I'll message the YouTube link to you, and you can post it and share it everywhere.
All right.
And that'll be tonight. It won't take me long, so I'll have that tonight for you.
All right.
And I appreciate it. Thanks for the flyer, man. That's the one great thing. Every time I'm getting you on with other groups, man, I know that flyer is going to be taken care of, man.
Yeah.
So,
all right, man.
All right. You have a good night. You take care.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, folks. Who is coming on next? I'm waiting to get it solidified, and I don't even want to jinx myself and say anything, so I'm not gonna. But hopefully by tomorrow you'll see a flyer and an FMA discussion, and I'm gonna take that route so I don't jinx myself. But very, very big name. I'll leave it at that. All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe to FMA Discussion on YouTube. Remember, all the money that we're getting from that is going to go to charity, and we just monetized, so it just started, so things are starting to catch up and all that. But again, that will all be going to charity. Okay, so you're doing the community a favor, and the ones who need it, back home in the Philippines. All right, thank you, and I'll see you next time.